Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall and welcome to Attaining the Second Cognition. Before I start this discussion, I want to state again, Endall and I do not sit around plotting and planning our scripts and what we're going to write, or if we're going to write something. Today is another prime example of similar lines of contemplation as we move through our daily lives separate from each other but without being able to talk to each other. Today I was contemplating the limited question of the meaning of life, and he was contemplating how asinine it is to question the afterlife. This discussion is going to be a different perspective to consider from my perspective about both my contemplation and his. I'm not going to do this off the cuff because I say, way too many times that is necessary. One of the most asked questions on this planet is, what is the meaning of life? Has anyone ever found an answer? Anyone? I know there are many that have speculated, and some that believe they have found the answer, but I ask this: what if we're all asking the wrong question? We have talked about in several videos and in all of our books the necessity of asking questions on one's path, and we've also talked about how to critically question and how to ask probing questions to get more in-depth answers. I will admit, one of the first questions I had asked myself on my path is this question right here. I think it was right after I had asked myself, why am I here? To this day, I've never gotten an answer to the question, at least not from my Soika. Today, I'd been in heavy contemplation mode, and this question was one that I revisited since I've never gotten an answer to it. So today, instead of asking, what is the meaning of life, I asked, is there meaning to life? This time I got an answer. It was no. Then I asked, should there be meaning to life? The answer I got was, it depends. I asked, depends on what? The answer? Wait for it. It depends on what you know the meaning of your life should be. Think about that. We are all individuals. Why would any of us think that there is one answer to the meaning of life? I can see now that every individual is the one to create the meaning for their life, unless they're still allowing others to create it for them, and this ties into everything we've been sharing with everyone in all of our works. Why ask me the question, what is the meaning of life, if that meaning pertains to your life? Do I really know anything about you or anyone else but me? How do I know what the meaning of your life is or what the meaning of your life should be? I mean, seriously, why ask the question of anyone but yourself? Because nobody, and I do mean nobody, should have an answer that applies to you or your life. How is the question, what is the meaning of life, vague? It's vague because it is generalized, and none of us consciousnesses should be generalized. When you look at the world around us, there are plenty of others that would give you an answer, and a lot of people would take that answer and apply it to themselves, thus creating meaning in their life, but is it their meaning they have created? Did you know that this question is one of the most pondered upon questions within the field of philosophy? What does this tell you? It should tell you that the question has no answer in the vague context it is asked. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to this question, and that is why it is still a riddle to this day. If you look up the definition of the word meaning, it means what is intended to be or actually is expressed or indicated, or the end, purpose, or significance of something. Significance means important. So, with the word meaning defined, I redirect you to my books and previous videos about fucking purpose. Does life in general have importance? If so, why? Why does life have importance? What is the meaning of life? I mean this literally, as in what is the definition of life? Look it up. For that matter, as Endall said in his video, What Happens in the Afterlife, what would the afterlife have that holds any importance at all much less importance over the life we are living right here and right now. Most everyone I know that has asked this afterlife question of us agrees that consciousness goes on after the departure of the form, so what does the afterlife really matter to the life living right now? How much time and energy gets wasted over agonizing or in angst over the question that is probably not important enough to have an answer, if it even does at all? If you have asked yourself this question or have expended time and energy worrying about or in angst over, where did the question come from? Did it come from your mind, or was it implanted there as a distraction to your cognitive growth? Who planted this concern over the afterlife in your mind to begin with? Have you ever pondered this question? Or have you just blindly accepted the idea without any real critical analysis? Everything we know is the product of the mind of another, regardless if that mind is from 10,000 years ago or last week. This doesn't mean that everything we learn is a lie or a half-truth or a misperception or full-blown truth, but you won't ever know what is which unless you ask the specific and pointed probing questions of your Soika. Move away from the standard human thinking generalizations based on foregone conclusion reached through faulty assumptions. We aren't presenting what we know and what we've learned on our paths for anyone to accept without critical analysis in their own mind, which is why we encourage questions. But we aren't encouraging questions to things we've not discussed. Has anyone ever heard us talk about the afterlife? No. Why? Because we're still alive and living in this life, so we don't know the answer about the afterlife in order to speak from experience. Do I remember times in between human incarnations? Yes, and although each in between is the product of an afterlife, it doesn't mean that each instance of an afterlife was the exact same as the one before, nor does it mean that my next one will be the same either. Do I remember times in between human incarnations? Yes, and although each in between is the product of an afterlife, it doesn't mean that each instance of an afterlife was the exact same as the one before, nor does it mean that my next one will be the same either. In focusing on the afterlife, are you putting way more importance on the human physical form than you're putting on your Soika? Do you want to know how I view it from my perspective? There is no afterlife. Life is my Soika. Life is not my material form or any experience my Soika has within the material form or external of the material form. Each material form is a role my Soika plays to gain whatever experience it chooses, so any meaning that may exist to my Soika is from my creation as my Soika, and the importance is only on the Soika experience, not the life, not the death, not the in-between of the material form. This could be the same answer for your Soika. Can you wrap your human mind around this perspective as a possibility for your Soika? If not, then find the better question to ask within so you can find the answer you are seeking. As to the other topic Endall mentioned in his video, I want to address this as well. Although Endall and I appreciate that others find value in our opinions, we've already expressed that we're not in the department of offering opinions on things that we do not know about. We get asked all the time what our opinions are about other modalities or people out in the public awareness, and I've oftentimes ran into others that get mad at me when I won't offer up my opinion, and I would like to explain why I won't. In previous videos, I've mentioned how first cognition is all about forming perceptions with only a minute amount of information, then jumping to conclusions based off the tiny pixel of information we possess, even though there's not enough to gain any kind of understanding. I'm asking others to not do that with our work, and I'm not going to do the same thing to somebody else's work, regardless if it is theosophical bullshit or not. Second cog is about observing and not forming an opinion without all the necessary information to reach a cogent and well-informed solution. I know there's a lot of theosophical modalities out there. I'm not going to spend my money that I don't have to gain more information on them. I can do a quick energetic read on the free synopsis of what information they provide to sell their spiritual wares, but that synopsis isn't enough information about the modality to form an opinion, educated or otherwise. Now, I will share my opinion about the theosophical tie-in and the nasty negative harnessing energies I feel from their presentations because I've experienced it too many times to not be an expert at detecting their energetic harnessing. Endall is very skilled in detecting these energies as well, but insofar as their modalities are concerned, I will not research them because of what I mentioned earlier, so I will not be giving specific opinions on these multitudes of alleged spiritual modalities they sell to the public. There is a difference between telling others about what I am picking up energetically from the entity, Theosophy, and giving an opinion about their products. In another one of my videos, I shared with you what I do before delving into any kind of research, and I highly suggest others do the same. I always, and I do mean always, ask my Soika, is this something I need to delve into? I could read enough to know when it will be a waste of my time and an expenditure of my Soika energy to pursue it. So if you want my opinion is this. When you come across something, hell, even our work, ask your Soika these questions. Is this something I need to research or listen to? Is this something that will expand my cognitive and perceptual awareness? Is this something that will benefit my Soika? Does this information have energies present to harness my consciousness? Will this information be an inhibitor to my Soika or my growth? Will this information or presentation be something that will help me reach second cognition, or will it keep me harnessed in the first cognition? I want to thank everyone for listening and for considering this information. I'm Gemma Beall. Stay the course and don't give up on yourself.